Welcome back to the Dinner for Two kitchen with Chef Warren Goodgull. Today we're going to prepare upside down pineapple cake, one of my favorites, right? So we're going to take a little bit of a twist on this. We're going to add a bit of lemon into this. We're actually going to use Meyer's lemon, which is such a fantastic thing. It's a cross between an orange and a lemon, really quite fantastic. You can really smell the orange on this. It's fantastic, really quite nice, right? So what we're going to do first, I'm going to zest the lemon here. So what we're going to do is I'm going to give a bit of a slice. We're going to take off some of the skin. Now, it's very important when you're doing your zesting, what you do not want is any of this white stuff. It's called the pith. It's very bitter, right? So what I do is I take a slice of lemon off. I'm going to need a little bit more than that, actually. And then I'm going to fillet the skin. So we just lay it nice and flat. I press the knife, I press the tip of the blade down on the board, and I just back and forth, hold it nice and easy. And we want to get rid of all this pith. So I go through it once. I can see I got to do it again. We might have to do this a couple times. We're just going to get rid of all the pith. I find that when you're using things like lemon zest and orange zest and lime zest is a really fantastic thing to add into your dishes. Gives us some great flavor, nice for salad dressings as well. But what we're going to do here is we're going to caramelize this with the sugar when we're caramelizing the pineapples, right? So we're going to get that on the go quite nicely here. So I'll get rid of all this pith, get it out of there. Whoops, slice that one a little bit too short. And I'm going to put this all into a nice julienne. Julienne, again, is that great cooking term for basically cutting into a very thin matchstick slice. So just nice with our precision knives, just slice it along, just a little bit here, and that's what we're going to do. I can really smell it. It's smelling quite fantastic, right? So let's get the rest of this cake on the go. We don't need this. What I'm going to do is I have my 10-inch skillet here. With the 10-inch skillet, I'm going to put it onto a just a little bit like a medium-low heat. In the skillet, I'm going to put in half a stick of butter, right? We're going to melt that butter down. Well, 3/4 of a stick of butter today, make it a little bit creamier. And I'm going to let the butter melt. Once the butter melts, I'm going to add some brown sugar in there and the lemon zest that we just cut up. Whoop, there's this last piece here, cut up. And we're going to put it all together, and it's going to caramelize really, really nicely, right? So put this on just a little heat. We're going to let the butter melt, and then we'll continue with that. While we're waiting for that, let's get this batter in the go. Now, of course, you can always make your cakes at home from scratch, and that's always the best way, but you know, sometimes when we just don't have time to measure all those ingredients and have the time to get everything done, we want to use a bit. I'm going to use this box cake mix here, but we're going to change it up a little bit. On the box, it says here, it says 3 eggs, a half a cup of vegetable oil, and a cup of water, right? Now, healthier cooking, you know, we're going to cut out the oil completely. The reason that you need that oil in that cake, when you cook it in the oven, it dries out, right? We don't really have that problem with that cookware because we're cooking in a sealed system. The moisture is locking right into the pan, right? So I see our butter's melting nicely here. Give that a sec. But we're going to omit the oil, and we're going to drop it down by an egg. But we have some guests coming. So instead of using a single recipe, we're going to make quite a large cake today. We're going to make a recipe and a half. So I'm going to use 3 eggs in total, right? So I have my batter. I'm going to put it, the first bag right into here. And I'm using here it's a lemon cake mix, but I see our butter's melted beautifully here, right? So take it to the side. I'm going to add our brown sugar into this as well. I'll sprinkle it around. All right, I got about a cup, just over a cup of brown sugar. And we're going to just move this around a little bit like this. We're going to add in, put this to one side, that lovely lemon zest back on the heat. Sprinkle it all around nicely like that. And then we're going to get the pineapples in here. Okay. Now with the pineapples, we're going to layer them around. Okay. Just move some of the sugar all around so it's a little bit more even. You can see the sugar starting to bubble a little bit. I'm going to turn the heat down a wee bit. With this cake, if you use a lower heat, you can take your time with it, right? So don't feel rushed. If you're feeling rushed, just turn the stove down. It's not a problem. But what we're going to do is I'm going to layer these pineapples all the way around the pan here. And you can hear the caramelizing of the sugar sizzling away nicely here. As soon as that hot sugar hits a bit of liquid from the pineapples, it's going to start to caramelize even a bit faster. Oh, got a broken pineapple, but that's okay. We're going to keep that going. All right, so we're going to get all these pineapples in here, and then what I'm going to do, I have another can of pineapples. I'm not going to use this whole can, and we're going to layer this underneath like this. We're going to put a couple more in here. All right, now at this point, I'm actually going to turn the stove up a little bit because I want to get this caramelizing, get this on the go. Now a little trick, we're just going to fold this just like that is good. Okay, like this. So let's turn the stove up to a slightly higher heat. I want to see the sugars in the bottom here bubbling a little bit. If it's bubbling nicely, we know we're on the right track. There we go. We've got some nice bubbling happening away, starting to caramelize. I'm going to put my maraschino cherries around. All right, now unfortunately, you know, we love this cake so much. I'm a little short on some of the cherries we're going to use here today. So let's get as many in as we can. And we'll make sure that you get the first slice. So you get the one that has a cherry in it, right? Now, what we're going to do here, while that's caramelizing, we're going to finish our cake batter. Instead of using water, I'm going to use the juice from the pineapples. So I'm going to put this juice from the pineapples in here. I'm going to put my 3 eggs in here as well. And I'm just going to mix this. Now, I'm more than likely am going to use a bit more juice, but we'll see how this goes. Now, that's a nice consistency, mixing it up nicely. When you make this cake, if your measurements of liquid to dry ingredients isn't perfect, don't worry about it. If the batter is really wet, you just need to cook it a little bit longer, it'll be fine, right? It's a fantastic thing when you have the right cookware, you can do the right job, right? All right, so this is caramelizing nicely like that. What we're gonna do is add the batter. So I'm gonna start in the middle, pour it around. Now, a great trick is always start in the middle first. If you start on one side, you'll find it having a tendency to push some of those pineapples and rest ingredients to the other side. And when you take it out, it's just not gonna be as uniform. All right, that's bubbling away nicely. I'm gonna move some of the batter around. And then we're gonna put the lid on there. And what I'm gonna do now, I'm gonna turn this down to a low heat to simmer. Whoops. Get that on to simmer. And when the steam comes out of the vent, we're gonna shut the vent, turn the stove off, let it set for 15 minutes, and we have a beautiful cake. So it's been about 15 minutes, and a little bit of steam started coming out of the pan here, which is nice. This is a double-sized cake, right? So it is quite large. Sometimes if you're doing such a big cake and the batter, when it rises, covers the whistle, you might not hear the whistle coming off. So you want to check a bit of your timing. You can always peek inside. Some steam's coming out, a very small amount of steam. I'm going to shut the vent. We're going to turn the stove right off, and now we just let it set for another 15 minutes, and it's good to serve. All right, so 15 minutes has passed, and let's flip it out and see how it goes, man. So let's open up our lid. I'm just going to take a knife and just run it around the edge. Just to loosen up the sides. I'm not too worried about the bottom. We have all those pineapples in the bottom there. And we're going to flip this over. This is always a fun thing to do when you have guests because they think you're a little crazy, right? And then we just give it a quick flip. Want to make sure you don't drop it. We're going to put it right here. I can always give it 3 taps for luck. And we have a lovely upside down pineapple cake. Now, isn't that fantastic, right? Now, a great thing is we have all this caramelized sugar in the pan. What's fantastic here is just put a bit of water in here, bring it to a boil, and it all just wipes out. Really easy to go, right? And that's the upside down pineapple cake with a little bit of lemon, caramelized lemon. That's Chef Warren, Dinner for Two, because life's always delicious.